Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to the channel. You guys are checking in with 22 Chaos Film Review. So right now, we're going to switch it up a little bit. We are going to be camera facing, not just hiding behind the film. We're going to do a new format, new style. So for those of you who have been watching the videos, giving me comments, giving me feedback, I really appreciate that. If you guys are wanting to see a particular film breakdown, I know we're probably going to have the Shadeur one obviously coming up. That's going to be a hot topic. Obviously, we're going to have the Patriots. If there's any more teams that you guys want me to do a film review breakdown for, that would drop it in the comments. Hit me up. You can follow me on TikTok. I have my X as well in the bio, so you guys can reach out and do all that good stuff. But anyway, thanks for checking. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and let's get into it. So first topic of the day is going to be the Pats versus the field. So essentially, let's just do a playoff run. Let's just talk about the playoff a little bit. Let's talk about their expectations with the Bengals. Like I said, we'll talk about Shadeur. We'll kind of finish up with anything that's going around the NFL, topics, social issues, things like that. And then we'll give the plan for the layout. We'll give a plan for what's going to happen for the rest of the week. So let's see here. Alrighty, actually, nope, that was perfect. Yeah, so just a brief preview. So obviously the Patriots are number 2. And I thought that a good question that would be asked here is essentially why. Why, how has this all happened? And I don't want to do a full recap, but I mainly want to say this. This offense was something that I predicted in the offseason. It was not going to be fully functioning. It's not going to be fully ready to go till probably these Thanksgiving. That's about the time that most traditional Patriots teams have usually been kind of at full cylinder. Though I don't believe the offense has, the Drake Maye led offense has gotten necessarily to full 100% on go. I think that the evolution and the speed in which it happened of this offense is really something that feels sustainable and that these guys can really lean on. Not just the quarterback, but the offense itself. I think Josh McDaniels, man, is I don't even know for sure if there's an assistant coach of the year. I think there's an award for that. I think he absolutely deserves it. I think the way that he's able to continue to have a playbook design around taking advantage really of what the defenses are doing. It's not so much as just, hey, the defense is only going to give you this, so we're only going to take this. No, these defenses are trying to do very complex things right now to Drake May. He's excellent against the blitz. If you drop 8, he's still going to be able to make completions and really even might be able to get downfield with catching on booty. So and then even when you take away the deep stuff, he's so disciplined right now for the most part at taking the check down as well too, right? We talk about those Josh Allen pre and post development of Josh Allen. And it really, that conversation always centered around like the checkdowns. And so again, just to kind of wrap up that point, the Patriots have overall, just this offense has been something that has been really, really on fire, and it's been really, really in its groove. And not only that, everyone wants to have the conversation about strength of schedule, but these guys have played. The Patriots have played really, really tough defenses that really got after it. I was very proud of the way that they handled that Ty Bowles defense. I'm telling you right now, guys, I played defensive back in college. Again, hey, I wasn't a world beater, but I was a man press cover guy. And I really love studying film. I can tell you right now that I watched that Tampa Bay defensive film, and I could not. There were plenty of times that I could not understand what defense they were in. I mean, their complex schemes, the way that they were dropping the cover 2 and cover 1 angles and things like that. Not only obviously the Browns defense when they played the Browns defense, Pittsburgh has a good, has I would say a pretty good defense. So ultimately, the Patriots have gotten to number 2. The why is that of course it's a full team thing, but I think this offense being right there on par with where I personally expected the defense to be, it really, really allowed this team to gel and kind of complete itself relatively quickly. Mike Vrabel talked about taking care of themselves, taking really being able to take advantage of bad football. And so just to see that throughout the season, and again, man, this team really could be undefeated if we want to talk about it. But ultimately, yeah. So I kind of rambled on there, but Denver's great. Their defense is going to be stout. As it relates to the Patriots, I'm sorry. I still think the Patriots win there. I don't see Bo Nix being able to score 21 points on this Patriots defense. I think at best I can see him, maybe 14 at best, 17. I just don't think he gets to 21, and I think Drake Maye and Josh McDaniels can get to at least about 21 to 25 on that Denver defense. Now it's going to be, especially with the evolution of who won't say evolution, but the coming out of Travion Henderson. Stevenson is going to be a little bit healthy, so we presume, obviously with the fumbling problem, but he's had some time off, so hopefully that keeps him fresher as we get to these potential matchups. But I still would take the Patriots there. The Colts, Patriots defense is just number one. I don't know what the Colts are without a explosive. Again, I still need to do film review on them, but I don't know what they are without their running back, who's damn near in the MVP discussion. So I don't know if that's with the Patriots being pretty darn stout there and being pretty consistent there. I'm not sure in that matchup how effective that offense would be against that defense. Pittsburgh we lost against, but Pittsburgh is really I believe Aaron Rodgers is hurt right now too. I think he just avoided surgery, so let's see where he's at. I just think he's old. I think everyone's been saying that he's old, and it is what it is. Bills are the Bills. I think that everyone is so enamored with psycho. I would call it psycho Josh Allen. I actually agree with a Kevin Wiles take. I'm a first thing first guy. I actually agree with his take. I would be very happy to play against a Josh Allen who feels like he is going to have to be Superman in order for him to win a game. I think that's going to play right into the Patriots' hands. I think, again, because they are taught and have shown the ability very early to take advantage of bad football or opportune football, if you will. I think Josh Allen in the playoffs is going to be a very opportunistic quarterback on both sides, with interceptions and with scoring touchdowns. So I would take the erratic Josh Allen because he has nothing around him that's going to help him propel versus a Josh Allen who has a very balanced team, like maybe 2 years ago, where he's taking the check down, he's being very methodical, he's still making big play with his legs, like it's essentially opening up the entire field in the game and really the game plan. So as a Patriots fan, I'll be honest, I'm not worried about the Bills. Defensively, they still can't stop the run, and it's going to get harder to stop the run in the cold. And I think Ramondre Stevenson is going to have at least one big game, and I'm going to say a big game would be considered maybe over 100 yards. I think he's going to have that in one of these colder games as we get later into the season. He's a bruising back, and then you're going to have to a 10-4 Henderson as well on the speed on the outside, swinging guards, pulling tackles. Michael Winu, Morgan Moses. I just think that this team is built on physicality, and I do worry about that defense, that Bills defense being able to hold up. I don't know if the Chargers make it. They're decimated. And as a Patriots fan, again, last year we were decimated on both sides of the ball with very little to no talent. Unfortunately, the Chargers actually do have a lot of talent, and they're just not going to be, they're not going to be healthy. I don't in this league with so much parity this season. I just don't know if they can hold on for dear life, and if they can, then great. And we'll see where they are when they're fully healthy. But right now, I'm not worried too much about the Chargers. And the Jacksonville. I'm going to be honest. I'll make it short and sweet. I'm not really someone that studies up on Jacksonville. I just understand and kind of hover around the Jacksonville prince that was promised, all of that narrative and discussion. That's kind of how I keep my beat on Jacksonville. And so Jacksonville's is just up and down. I think their coach, Liam Cohen, I think he's really good. I think he's a really good offensive coordinator. I think he's one of those, as we call him, the tight pants, brilliant minds. But I'm just not sure if I'm worried about Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville Jaguars. And then we'll focus. Obviously, we got the Baltimore Chiefs. We'll get into that as we start to release more of these. Obviously, those teams are not in the playoffs right now. So hey. I think for sure, everyone's gonna want to keep it that way as much as they can. I don't know if anyone can hold off Baltimore as they are steamrolling, but I do believe the Chiefs are going to be in some trouble. So let's see how it works out. So what I wanted to transition to is we're going to talk about let's see, just how the Patriots stack up against the Bengals. Now, again, this is where I'll add that I will be doing a film breakdown of this game before the end of the week. I want to say today is Monday, so I'll probably have out a video on YouTube, and it'll be linked in the bio. Well, obviously you'll be watching this on YouTube, but I'll have it on YouTube here within the next 48 hours. I'll try to do at least an offensive breakdown, or I'll say the Bengals defense and against the Patriots offense, what to expect, et cetera, what we're looking for, what we're going to see, and then we'll do vice versa here as we get later in the week, get closer to game day. So the reason why I'm sharing just their roster, I'm going to make a very straightforward point. I may ramble on in the video, but I'm going to be straightforward here. Jamar Chase being suspended was checkmate. The Bengals offense against the Patriots defense, without Jamar Chase, and Joe Flacco's been playing quote unquote well. They have improved versus their former backup. It was a Jake Browning, I believe. So, but the problem with that is that he's been feeding Jamar Chase, which I mean, of course, hey, listen, I have 30 seconds to learn a playbook. Okay, fine. I'm just gonna throw it up to the best receiver, arguably the best receiver in the world. So that's not a problem. That's not necessarily an issue for the situation that they're in. Um, but the problem with that is now that chess piece is not on the board anymore. So now you have what was it Lisa Issa Vias, who has done nothing in this league. Noah Fant has not had what I would call a great season, and T Higgins, by all accounts, really truthfully, hasn't had really a great season as well. Hasn't had a really, let's say, crazy
yeah,
season.
Matt, probably is one of the things
really,
its offense is.
I think he's had some really okay games. I mean, he's had some big games, or I would say some relative. Either way, and the stats that I want to bring up is his last game for 633 yards on 3 receptions, 8 targets. I have a feeling, and just kind of one of my predictions of this game. I'm not a sports bettor. I'm not gonna give you any advice in that regard. That's not my thing. But just kind of my feel for this game and the way the Patriots are going to be playing defense against this offense. I suspect to see a lot of cover one. I also expect to see what I would imagine is going to be a heavy dose or increase of man. The Patriots, I believe, are around 70%, 70% or so of zone coverage. And I think they're hovering around, is it almost 30? Like almost like 29, 28% of man coverage. That's a very big difference from the Bill Belichick era. They were hovering around about 45% running man. But anyway, I bring that up to say I think that this is a game when you have Jamar Chase off, who I think Gonzo had already did very well against. Everyone wanted to see that matchup for sure. I think the game plan going in was probably going to be a little bit more man, or if you could see what I would call like a man zone split. So imagine for you guys, I can go into my brain here for a second. We're looking at a 4-3 base defense. You're looking at the middle linebacker, and then to your right, let's say that's backside Jamar Chase and Gonzo, right? That's probably going to be a man-to-man. If there's a running back on the right-hand side as well of this imaginary split I've done, maybe there'll be like some zone concept, or maybe if there's a tight end, maybe there'll be some zone concept around that, or maybe the linebacker would just take the tight end, maybe the safety will come down and take the tight end and man. But generally speaking, one side of the field is going to be man, and then that man zone split that I'm talking about, that Belichick used to run a little bit, the backside, like so, let's say for maybe like a T Higgins, you would have a cornerback and a safety, where the cornerback would always play underneath and the safety would play over the top, and that's how they would take away both your number 1 and your number 2 receiver, especially if they were good. If they just, obviously in every opportunity, they would just run man across the board. So I do believe that this game plan, though the Patriots are not a heavy man team, I think this may be the most efficient way to essentially shut Joe Flacco down. I think that without Milton Williams really pressuring and being able to, well, he's not going to play, so you're losing some of that up the middle chaotic. Just, I mean, him and freaking Barmore, man, they just cause so much wreckage. Even Tonga causes so much wreckage right up there in the interior. For most quarterbacks, that's that prevents them from being able to step up and make a really clean throw. They're going to be on the bell. They're going to be going left, right. Now you got Chase on, you got Harold Landry, you got these guys that are coming. And so, granted, we're just not a all assault pressure team. I think like we're middle of the pack in terms of pressure and pressure rate, but I would ultimately say, just even for a Joe Flacco who's not mobile, you don't necessarily need to have the most explosive pass rush. What you really need is just a very disciplined pass rush that has really kind of taken away his ability to move around in the pocket. And now you have man on the back end, or some type of man zone, or cover one, cover two, or like a rotate to a cover one, cover two, robber, something like that. Now he just has to hold the ball a second longer because the coverage is so tight. That's why I think that for a D line that may be a little hampered, I think the way that you help out the D line from a Patriots perspective is that you actually go ahead and play that man and trust that your secondary is going to be better than their receivers. So, and then very quickly, I was going to say, in terms of their the offense, our Patriots offense versus the Bengals defense. To be honest with you guys, they're not. The Bengals defense is terrible at everything. That's just what it is. So I think that there's going to be a really good opportunity to get some really good reps at establishing the run game. Do not be surprised to see that Josh McDaniels actually is going to run the air out of the football. I don't think that this is not a team that's going to be focused on, for example, giving Drake Maye this opportunity to stat pad for his MVP campaign. No, this is a team that's going to make sure that they treat these opportunity as live reps, now that we know for sure, more certainly than not, that they're going to the playoffs. So I would expect to see Josh McDaniels really try to get his rhythm with the play call between his now Thunder and Lightning, now that Stevenson is going to play. I wouldn't be surprised if Henderson drops a little bit in his workload, maybe using him in maybe even more receiving or pass catching roles, underneath roles. But Stevenson's also very good at catching it underneath. I think Stevenson's actually a very underrated hands running back. I need to look at the stats on that, but I just think that, man, I swear when he's locked in, I just think he's an awesome running back. But they got that two-headed monster. And like I said, the Bengals are not good at generating pressure. They're not good at tackling. They're not good at stopping the run. They're not good at really stopping the pass. So I don't see a situation where the Patriots are very so often going to be behind the sticks. And the reason why it's a big thing is because if this offense, and really all offenses, and this is, again, side note, this is something that Caleb struggled with and really continues to still struggle with, is keeping the offense on rhythm, keeping the offense on time, keeping the offense on schedule. So if it's first and 10 needs to be second and 6. Second and 6 turns to maybe 33 or the first down, and then you just continue to roll, right? And so I think that the intent is going to be, in terms of an offensive perspective, it's going to be a very focused. I think it's going to be a very balanced attack, and I think Josh McDaniels always goes for balance. But as he stated before in recent interviews in the past, before he got back to coaching, there would be times where Bill would just say, "Hey, listen, I don't know if we really want to be running the ball here. I don't know if we need to script up 30 run plays today, for this game." And so I think that this is going to be an opportunity where he can keep it balanced. He can keep Drake Maye can keep them ahead of the sticks, and then relatively put up about 30 to 35 points on his team. I think this defense is averaging about 30 points a game given up. So, and I think which is last or maybe close to last in the league. So. Yeah, man. But so let's get into it. We're gonna talk about the Shadeur, the Shadeur time, the Shadeur man. So I won't go on too much of a rant, man, but I did want to speak on this a little bit. And it's not so much about Shadeur; it's really about the coaching staff that I really want to talk about. Since Shadeur has been drafted, like most people, I have very much so been a guy who's leaned into the Browns. And has gotten to be able to get a deep dive on them, actually, because of just all of the coverage that's been on them, and I've been consuming all of that. I'm not gonna lie, hey, I really want to see how this plays out. But one of the things I want to say, and everyone's talking about the rep issue. I get it, guys. Listen, again, I play college football. I know I'm not Kurt Warner. I know I'm not Chase Daniels. I know I'm not Luke Browning or whoever that gentleman name is that also had a comment about it. But at the end of the day, this is the point that I think most people are trying to make, at least most people who have also been behind the scenes, have also been in locker rooms, have also been a part of development programs and in being a part of development. When the Browns decided, and I don't care, and I don't want to no conspiracies on who told who to do what, but when the Browns drafted Dylan Gabriel and Shaduer Sanders, there had to have been a plan of development for both. And even if person X told person Y that you need to draft Shadeur, if that's your boss, you still have to you still have to develop this guy. You can't drop him by the wayside. Especially now that he has the attention of your owner. So your owner is going to be really wanting to see specifically what this development looks like on this kid. So I think that Kevin Stefanski is just not. I'm very disappointed in the fact that it's, again, not about the reps, but the simple fact is you are an offensive minded coach. You are calling, until recently, calling offensive plays. Every coach that I've known, again, I have been a Patriots fan and et cetera, et cetera. So I've seen Josh do it. For example, I've seen Josh McDaniels get multiple wins in a season with three quarterbacks. Jacoby Brissett, our pretty boy, Tom Brady. So I'm like, we've seen this. We've seen this, and I can't believe I can't think of his name to save my life. That is really going to bother me. Garoppolo. So Brissett, Garoppolo, and Brady. And I could imagine that, again, we've heard that from Brian Hoyer, that Brady wanted a lot of those reps. And that's, he was older. Hey, listen, he needed more recovery than he needed the reps. Okay, bet, cool. Well, now you got Garoppolo and Brissett, two very young guys on the roster that essentially Brady gets suspended, and now you have to get ready. And then Garoppolo gets hurt after having a successful game, and now you have to get Brissett ready. So, and one thing that everybody's also forgetting as it relates to the Browns, Alex Van Pelt had eight quarterbacks. 1 year, it was a couple years ago before he got let go. I think it was the season before he got let go with the Browns. They had multiple wins with multiple quarterbacks in one season. I think they had six, if I'm correct, tripping or something like that. So Stefanski has been in locker rooms. He's been the head coach when he's had to develop and strategize multiple quarterbacks. So what I mean by that, let me give you an example. So what I mean by that is Dylan Gabriel's getting all the reps. Cool. He's young. Cool. They're going through a sheet. They're going through a play call sheet, and they're saying, okay, Dylan, let's just say it's 50 plays. Give me, let's go through all of these plays. Tell me what you like and what you don't like. Tell me what you love, what's your go-to, what's going to be your hot, whatever the case may be. What do you really feel comfortable in? Most offensive coordinators, once they go through with their starting quarterback, they usually go to their second quarterback and say, okay, listen, give me five. Give me 5 plays that, let's go over this 2. Let me get 5. That way, if we ever have to throw you in, third down, one play, or whatever like that, we have some go-tos that we know we can actually call to kind of keep the offense rolling. And I would imagine in the course of a week, including walkthroughs, there'll be enough time to practice 10 reps out of the week, those 5 plays. Now the offense has those 5 plays, which are probably, depending on if there's just a huge difference in 2 quarterbacks, they may not be too different. And you're supposed to be an offensive-minded coach. So the fact that you're not doing that means that you have not developed or prepared him at all to actually be a backup quarterback. And there is some development in that as well, too. So that's the bigger issue for me, is that you have a young guy. And you had what I would imagine if everyone is saying, hey, we took him and it was a collaborative effort. I would imagine that if you ever changed your mind, Stefanski, you could have cut him. You had Zappy, you had Tyler Huntley, you had Dylan, you had Joe Flacco. I don't get the structural organizational part of the Browns, and everyone can say, yeah, well, it's just the Browns, and I get that. But obviously we care. We like Shadeur, and so, man, I wish him for the best. I will say this, because I'll be doing a post-game breakdown on Shadeur. I do believe that the Browns have an opportunity with Shadeur to win this game. I think they're going to, and I'm just talking schematically really quickly, I think if they can really put a lot of pressure I would say Crawford, their edge. Jesus, all the names are going blank for me today. Golly. Anyway, Oakland's defensive end. I was like, now I'm just gonna have to see. I was like, why is that Max Crosby? There we go. Okay, there we go. Sorry, Max Crosby. So with the Browns are probably going to have to do and instill in their offense is that they're going to have to continue to chip Crosby every single play. If they want Shadeur to have a chance and not let this guy wreck the game, they're going to have to continuously chip him. They're going to have to send blind crashes to him as well, bigger receivers, if they have bigger receivers or blocking receivers, or even if you just have your tight end out wide and he crashes down, it's going to take away a little bit of it's going to take away pass catchers, at least in the initial snipe of the ball. But I think that's something that they're going to be able to do to slow him down and really open up opportunities, hopefully. I didn't see what the Raiders are go to. Like I said, I haven't really studied the film on them yet, but just knowing that these are some of the things I know Josh McDaniels would do to take out a Crosby. If you can implement some of those things, like I said, really just wearing him down during the game, even sometime overloading to his side and running that way. I know he's probably relatively good in setting the edge or run defense. I have to check and see, but again, I would imagine Crosby he is. But again, just trying to wear him out during the game, because here's the thing: the Browns defense is pretty damn good. I thought that when I did a review on them and I actually saw their film, I thought that the Patriots were schematically sound enough to take advantage of some of their weaknesses, which their weaknesses, I would say, really play action. But if I can give really more deep, like a feeling, is that they play out of control. The Browns are a very good defense, but because their defensive line is so good, the back end plays a lot more reckless. And if that D line doesn't get there, there's some really opportunities to really kill that defense. Also, too, they're not very good with eye discipline. The Browns defense is, so it's I wouldn't say very easy, but there's profit in making them that, doing a motion, doing things like that, having things move at the same time while going a different direction or things like that. And really trying to get to the edges. They are vulnerable there, and I thought the Patriots did a really very good job of taking advantage of that. I think that if Stefanski is this coach of the year that you guys keep trying to sell me on or the rest of us on, I think he's going to have a relatively doable, how do I say? He's going to have a game plan that Shadeur should be able to relatively follow. Now, if that is when I review it, if that was the game plan, if that was the intent, and now this guy's just not seeing it, he's not knowing how to throw hot, things like that, then now we have to have a different conversation. But the Raiders only blitz about 17% of the time. I think 19% of the time. They're one of the bottom teams in blitzing in the league. This is a short week for the Raiders. They're not going to be able to necessarily install a heavy blitz install package in about 3 days. It's just not realistic possible. What happens when you are on a short week and you play Thursday night football, you actually really just align and you're probably really set to just go ahead and base out everything. Meaning like, hey, listen, we're just going to have to play, our base defense. We're going to have maybe a few go-to things that we, didn't install early in training camp that we kind of have in the back of our minds, or maybe, hey, we had a small collection of plays that we can instill for this Thursday night that we did earlier in the season, things like that. Because coaches will kind of continue to open up the playbook depending on where they are with the team and how they're picking up the concepts. And so there might be like a collection of and there will be a collection of blitz packages, but Stephen Stefanski should be able to get Shadeur to be able to see the tendencies of those, because they don't do it very often. So I would imagine it's not something that they have just created 10,000 different Brian Flores type of defense. They're not coming at you like that, and especially not on a short week. I think if they had a full week, I think they would. And I think, honestly, I wouldn't pick the Browns to win this game, but I just think that the way that I just think that this is a very opportune time for Shadeur to take advantage of something, and I really hope that offensively, schematically, they're able to do it. But yeah, like I said, guys, I don't think there's anything off the top of my head else that I really wanted to get into. Like I said, give me about 48 hours. I'm going to be reviewing the film and just trying to get everything out. I'll give my prediction as we get, like I said, I'll give my prediction probably in that video. Or I might just be on social media just chopping it up, talking about those things, doing breakdowns on X, things like that. But thank you guys so much for checking out the video. I know we went a little bit long. We're going to figure out a way to kind of bring it down and be more. But this is my first time, so I was a little nervous. But anyway, thank you guys so much for checking out the show. God bless. And thank you for checking out 22 Chaos Film Review.